Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Listen with Stories. Take a slow breath in and breathe out. Today, we travel to a small farm in New Zealand. A boy is working in the fields. His hands are dirty. His boots are worn. He has no laboratory. He has no famous teacher. He has only one thing, a burning need to know. This boy will one day split the atom. He will change science forever. His name is Ernest Rutherford. If you are new here, welcome. This channel is for English learners like you. Every week, we tell the true story of a real person. Slowly, clearly, together. End quote. Subscribe now so you never miss a story. Let us begin. Ernest Rutherford was born on the 30th of August, 1871. He was born in a small town called Brightwater, in New Zealand. His father, James, was a farmer and a wheelwright. His mother, Martha, was a school teacher. They were not rich. They were not famous. But they believed in one thing deeply: education. Ernest was the fourth child in a family of 12 children. 12. The house was always full, always loud. But Ernest was quiet inside his mind. He loved to think. He loved to ask questions. Why does the river flow that way? What makes the wind move? What is inside a rock? At school, Ernest was sharp and fast. His teachers noticed him quickly. He won scholarships, one after another. First to a secondary school, then to Canterbury College in New Zealand. He was not from a wealthy family, but his mind was extraordinary. He studied hard. He read everything. And in 1895, something happened that changed his life. He won a scholarship to Cambridge University in England. Cambridge, one of the greatest universities in the world. Ernest packed his small bag. He said goodbye to his family. He crossed the ocean. A farm boy from New Zealand was going to Cambridge. At Cambridge, Ernest worked under the great scientist J. Thomson. Thomson was brilliant, and he saw that Rutherford was special. Ernest worked long hours in the laboratory. He was studying radio waves and magnetism at first. But then something new arrived in the world of science. In 1896, a French scientist named Henri Becquerel discovered something strange. Uranium, a heavy metal, was releasing invisible energy all by itself. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody understood it. Ernest was fascinated. He began to study this invisible energy. He called it radiation. He discovered that radiation came in different types. He named them alpha rays and beta rays. This was a landmark discovery. Ernest was only in his 20s. In 1898, Ernest moved to Canada. He became a professor at McGill University in Montreal. He was young. He was ambitious. He was working faster than anyone around him. In Canada, Ernest made another huge discovery. He proved that radioactive atoms do not stay the same forever. They break down. They change into other elements. Over time, this was called radioactive decay. The scientific world was shocked. For centuries, scientists believed atoms were permanent, unchangeable. Ernest proved they were not. He won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1908 for this discovery. But Ernest was not finished. He had a bigger question. What is inside the atom itself? In 1907, Ernest returned to England. He became a professor at the University of Manchester. And here, in 1909, he performed one of the most famous experiments in history. Ernest and his assistants fired tiny particles, alpha particles, at a very thin sheet of gold foil. The particles were so small you could not see them. Ernest expected the particles to pass straight through the gold foil, because the scientific world believed the atom was soft, like a cloud of positive charge, with tiny electrons spread inside. This was called the plum pudding model. But something very unexpected happened. Most particles passed straight through. Yes, but some particles bounced back. Some bounced back at sharp angles. And a very few, bounced almost completely backward. Ernest later said this was the most surprising thing he had ever seen in science. He said it was like firing artillery shells at tissue paper, and the shells bouncing back and hitting you in the face. Ernest thought deeply. He calculated. He reasoned. And in 1911, he announced his answer. The atom is not a soft cloud. The atom has a tiny, dense, heavy center. He called it the nucleus. Almost all of the atom's mass is in this tiny nucleus. And around the nucleus, electrons move in empty space. The atom is mostly empty space. This was the Rutherford model of the atom. It changed everything. It changed chemistry. It changed physics. It changed how humanity understands matter. Ernest Rutherford, the farm boy from New Zealand, had looked inside the atom. After 1911, Ernest became the most respected scientist in Britain. Young scientists came from all over the world to work with him. He was generous. He was warm. He was known for his big laugh. But he never stopped working. In 1917, Ernest made another extraordinary discovery. He fired alpha particles at nitrogen gas, and the nitrogen atoms broke apart. Hydrogen nuclei came out. Ernest had done something no human had ever done before. He had split the atom. He had caused a nuclear reaction in a laboratory. He called this process artificial nuclear disintegration. The world had a new word, and a new era was beginning. Ernest continued to lead science. He became director of the Cavendish Laboratory at Cambridge. Under his leadership, 2 of his students, James Chadwick and others, made more great discoveries. Chadwick discovered the neutron in 1932, the small neutral particle inside the nucleus. Ernest had built a team of the greatest scientific minds of the age. He was not just a scientist, he was a teacher, a builder of scientists. He was like a great tree, and from his branches grew many other great trees. Ernest Rutherford died on the 19th of October, 1937. He was 66 years old. He died from complications after a small operation. The world of science was heartbroken. He was buried in Westminster Abbey in London, near Isaac Newton and Lord Kelvin, a farm boy from New Zealand, resting beside the greatest scientists in history. His face appears on the New Zealand $100 bill. Element 104 on the periodic table is named Rutherfordium in his honor. But his real legacy is not a name on money or a name on a table. His real legacy is the world we live in. Nuclear medicine, which saves millions of lives today, grows from his discoveries. Understanding of atoms and molecules, which drives all of modern chemistry, comes from his model. Nuclear energy, which powers cities, was made possible by his work. Ernest Rutherford looked at the universe and refused to accept that we could not understand it. He believed that careful thinking, patient experiment, and honest curiosity could answer any question. And he was right. My friends, you are doing something beautiful today. You are listening. You are learning. You are growing. Ernest Rutherford was told many times that he was just a boy from a small farm at the end of the world, but he never let anyone else's small vision become his vision. You are learning English. Maybe it feels slow. Maybe it feels hard. But every word you learn is like an alpha particle, small but powerful. Keep going. Keep listening. Keep being curious. You are not just learning a language. You are opening a door to the entire world. Thank you so much for listening today. If this story moved you, if it gave you something, please leave a comment below. Tell me, what surprised you most about Ernest Rutherford? And if you want part 2, more stories about the scientists who worked with Rutherford, tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Don't forget to subscribe to Listen with Stories. A new story arrives every week. Listen slowly. Learn deeply. Stay curious. Goodbye, my friends. Until next time.